DC Multiverse! Superman, Kid Flash, the Spectre, and Psycho Pirate. Today on the channel, we will be reviewing these 4 figures from McFarlane Toys' DC Multiverse action figure line with a bonus collect-to-build monitor action figure to boot. Let's get started. First, we have Old Man Soups, the father figure and greatest hero of Earth 2. Soups' head profile here looks like my dad from 30 years ago, and I'm really impressed. This is one of those head sculpts that until you see it up close, in hand, in person, you really don't understand how good this one really is. And overall, the figure itself, so far, seems to be a perfect rendition of one of my favorite iterations of this character. He comes with an on-point trading card, some flight hands, a stand, and fittingly, the arms to the anti-monitor. Next we have Kid Flash here, who is the perfect size to be taking up the mantle of the Flash, and totally doesn't have 2 different size hands. Winky face. He too comes with a trading card, a second set of interchangeable micro running hands, a figure stand, and the legs to the monitor. A bit on the nose, don't you think? This fella's head sculpt, if you ask me, also is perfect in comparison to what it should look like. And I love his red hair that hangs over his mask and his big long earwings. I'm sure some people may say that he's a little bit too big to be Kid Flash, but remember, this is the version of Kid Flash right before he became regular Flash and then joined the Justice League. Next we have the Spectre, whom I've always loved, but always wondered why he wears nothing but pixie boots and trunk briefs. This fella's body buck is that of the previously created Martian Manhunter. You can see that with the torso, arms, and upper legs, and is a fantastic reuse of said body buck. And as for his head sculpt, that is definitely an actual shadow across his face. Like, that's so a real shadow. Wait, what? It's not? Oh. He too comes with a trading card, figure base, and body part of the once dismembered monitor, the head. He also comes with the cape. The head and cape. And finally, we have the Psycho Pirate, perhaps the coolest name of the 4 figures in this wave. Although this one here is the masked version, word has it that there is an unmasked chase variant. And just as with the rest of the figures in this wave, he comes complete with a trading card, figure stand, and dismembered body parts. This time, it's the torso of the monitor. So now that we've had a little bit of a yak about each figure, why don't we move on to each one individually, starting with the Man of Steel. So in hand, the first thing you'll notice here is that old Soups has a cloth goods cape, and dude, look at the size of that S. It's huge, and honestly, not my thing. I like the S on the back. I just wish it was just a little bit smaller. Not inaccurate though. I do remember seeing places where the S was that big with this Superman. I believe it was more depicted that way on Infinite Crisis, not Crisis on Infinite Earths. If you're looking for how much this cape will spread out, it doesn't spread out quite like a Batman cape does. It's a little bit less. It's a 3/4 circle instead of a half circle, which I'm perfectly fine because now the cape is not going to be as unruly to deal with. The wires go along the sides, not along the bottom. I know some people like wires along 3 sides. I'm okay with it along 2. The way that this cape actually connects to the body is fantastic, right under the neckline. So you have a separate piece, sculpted, put right in there with the cape underneath. I think this is the best way to do a cloth goods cape. I think that Todd has gone boom, right on the money with this one. Same thing with the logo. I think when we zoom in here and have a little peekaroo at it, I mean, this looks exactly like it should. This is a perfect Earth 2 Superman logo for the chest here. I love this so much. The trunks area on this could be a little better. I don't like the fact that the loops are so small. Now, I will actually remove some of the yellow paint. The loops are bigger than they look in this video here, but they're still kind of small. But I will touch up the yellow and the red, and I'll make it so that this actually looks better. And then on the back, though, this is, oh, that is unforgivable. That is terrible. Somebody needs to apologize for this. We got the super booties, which in my opinion look also perfect, just like the face sculpt and the chest logo. And this is a new Superman body buck, never used before. Some people have speculated, well, maybe certain parts have been used from other ones. Nope, completely and totally brand new, 100%. And I do hope that they use this body buck a few more times. As a matter of fact, it's McFarlane Toys, so I am convinced absolutely that they will use this body buck more than a few more times. My real question right now is how well articulated is this Superman body buck? So the torso's got a goodly amount of articulation. The waist is obviously going to have 360. Shut up, phone! It's telling me to do my physio. I don't have time for physio right now, right? Where was I? Oh, yes. An ample amount of articulation down here in the waist. We move up. We can see you got the socket, you got the hinge there, perfectly fine amount of upwards articulation. We have a bicep swivel. It's going to do 360. I don't need to show you that. However, what about these double jointed elbows? Oh, well, these are a delight. These are a delight, I must say. And what about them knees? How good are the double jointed knees? Oh, those are fantastic. Flight poses, here we come. And what do we have down here for the groin? Oh, look at that. Okay, that's actually pretty good. The thigh cut approximation is doing its job. We got the McFarlane ratchet in there. And we have a very good amount of articulation for the ankles. That is very good. We got the toe. And I'm just curious. When it ratchets, how does it ratchet? Will this ratchet to a point where I can stand him up straight? Aye, it does. It ratchets so he can stand up straight. This is a superb Superman figure. I give this figure, seriously, I give this figure, aside from the paint that wasn't painted on the back, I give this figure 100%. I can't think of anything I really don't like about this Superman figure that is worth actually docking marks for, aside from the paint in the belt area. Oh, yes, and I think I should probably compare him to the previous Grandpa Soups figure. There he is, compared to the DC Direct Grandpa Soups. Next, Kid Flash. Now, this is one that I know a lot of us are really excited about. We love Wally, we love Kid Flash, we love the look of the suit, we love Crisis on Infinite Earths, we love the Teen Titans when he actually looked like this. This is a beautiful looking figure. Clearly it's been made mostly on the Blue Beetle Booster Gold Buck. It's another reuse of that body, but hey, if we want lots of different characters, we're going to have to accept a certain amount of reuse. And with a character like this, I feel like it works, it looks okay, and I'm not going to complain about it. I will say his boots are just a little bit big, like kind of galoshy, like galoshes. And yes, as stated, Kid Flash here does have two fists that are actually slightly different color and slightly different size. Hooray! Nice clear lightning bolt on the chest though, gotta love that. No paint slop whatsoever. And just overall, a fantastic looking Kid Flash. Here he is, by the way, in comparison to the DC Universe Classics smaller size Junior Kid Flash. Yeah, if you're wondering how articulated he is, you want to get him into some running poses, well, fear not. This is a fantastically articulated rendition of this character. And he has all the articulation points that you would be expecting. You can even see them, right? We got the rounded socket here. We got this. We got the biceps 360. We got double jointed elbows. We got legs that ratchet and move around, I would say, amply. There's even a whole lot of thigh cut articulation there. You've got a torso that does its thing properly on that ball joint. You have a waist swivel that also does a fantastic job. The head, ooh, that's pretty round. It's like he's hanging out at the club and something, listening to some sweet tunes. Isn't that the Hulk Hogan pose? That's the Hulk Hogan pose, isn't it? Yep, the knees are as crunchy as I'd want them to be. The ankles, which are formed to look like the boots there. Yeah, this is good. This is, I would say, a fantastic rendition of this character, and I would give him very high marks too. Like, say, again, a 9 out of 10. The only reason why I'm docking marks, honestly, is because the fist situation. The fist situation sucks. There. I fixed it. I happen to have 2 red fists that were waiting the wing for just this such occasion. Are they perfect? No, the red doesn't match perfectly. However, what they are is the same size and the right size for the body. So, good job, Brad. Every once in a while, it's okay to give yourself a pat on the back. Oh, I can't reach. I can't reach. I can't reach to give myself a pat on the back. I gotta stretch more. And next we have one of my favorites, the Spectre. And I gotta tell you right off the bat, this is very interesting that they decided to try to do something fun. So they got this black stuff in here with the white splatters to try to make it look kind of cosmic-y. I love this figure. The only thing I don't like about this is the cape. Ask me if I like this or not, and I will tell you straight to your face, no. No, sir, I don't like it, because I get what they're trying to do here. I understand that this is like, they're trying to do something kind of dynamic and fun. I like this side. I could handle if the other side was more like this. However, having this all out like that, it just, for me, it is not for me. It doesn't make any sense. It's not for me. Having the cape hang like this, with this piece hanging out, I really wish that it came with a regular cape and not this. Besides, he's also going to get in the way of me properly posing him on the shelf. And by pose, I just mean having him stand on my shelf. Because I had them so close that whenever there's a character that has kind of a cape that's more big and out of the way and dynamic, it really does get in the way of things. Remember? I even trimmed the cape for the Eradicator because it had the exact same problem. You guys want to see my bad guy shelf as well? This is my bad guy shelf. They're all together, hanging out, like a great big conglomerate of evil, of terror, of darkness, of evil. I said evil twice because I'm not really feeling very creative today. I don't have as much to say about him just based on the fact that he is just like a naked guy in his underpants and pixie boots, so there is a whole lot less to say. I will say this, though, as I've touched on previously. This whole head issue. Hold on a second. This is like, you know, I'm not going to lie. Right after the review, I'm going to take off his hood and remove all this black with acetone and then just have his head white underneath here. I'm totally okay with his head just looking white underneath here. It's a makeshift shadow. I understand what they're doing, but yeah, maybe not so good. Oh, by the way, here's the back of the cape. Doesn't that look like a crumpled up leaf? Or maybe like a garbage bag on the side of the road? As for comparison, I'm only going to compare him to the DC Universe Classics version. That is still a fantastic version of the Spectre, if you ask me. And I like what they did with the face there, approaching the shadow area just with some gray. Darkening it a little bit, but not making it completely dark. And as for how articulated this guy is, well, let's find out. You got the torso, and that is very articulated. That is some very mobile bodily articulation. You got the waist, it goes 360. We've got the arms. Nice T-pose. We got is the socket in the, yeah, the socket's in there. It's not doing that much. I bet you could probably take the socket out and get a bit more articulation. Bicep swivel 360. Crunchy elbows, both are going to be like that. You got his gloves being on those rounded ball joints, and they articulate quite well. They move around quite a bit. Down here, we got this going on as usual. Do we have, oh, dude, this is so far the best one. As far as your appropriation, your approximation of your thigh cut. Then you've got double jointed knees right up there like that. You've got the ankle on the shaped rounded-ish hinge for his pixie boots here. Does quite a bit as far as posability goes. And you've got the toe articulation there. And next we will move on to the Psycho Pirate. Now I've taken some close-up shots of the drama, the comedy and the drama on his shirt here up close. And it really looks like these were just printed off of something with low resolution. You know, they tried with this, but I just wish that that was better quality. And you can see that my drama is also not lined up properly either. But I do love the red and the black. I think that these work out really well. I like the tone of red. I like how smooth this figure is. I like the body buck that they've used for this figure. I think that that works out quite well. as well. I like his cape. It is really, really soft. I'm okay with this not being a cloth goods cape. I think that this works really well. You've got that big collar that sticks up, and they're fairly even. There's not like one that's over across his face like we've seen in previous figures, so this is actually quite nice. Goes over his shoulders nicely. This is just an all-around very nice figure, a very good rendition of this character. And Psycho Pirate almost never gets action figures. I've only got 2. And this is fantastic. I love this. Here he is compared to the DC Direct version of Psycho Pirate. This is a fantastic figure too. Pay no attention to the fact that he's not wearing his face mask. It's because I had it in his hand for dynamic pose and it fell off, so I stuck it in an accessory bin, and I don't remember where it is now. So I've got it, just not with the figure. I wonder how articulated this guy is. Whoa! Okay, so the torso is really nice. I like that. And the waist is really nice. This is like super posable, super movable. It doesn't give me any hassle, any hard time. You've got a socket. You've got the hinge right here. Both arms are going to go up in a reasonable T-pose. You've got your double jointed elbows that crunch up nicely. You've got the hands that are on these little tiny hinges. They're okay. These hinge up pretty nicely. You've got the head, which is on a ball joint, and for some reason my camera hates me and blurry. That's wonderful. I have it on autofocus camera. What the heck is wrong with you? There, that's better. So we've got the head that's also quite articulated, down, up, all around quite nicely. No complaints about that whatsoever. Oh, got that McFarlane ratcheted groin. Pretty good. What does he have? Again, we have, and you can really see how much movement he gets around in that approximation of a thigh cup by watching how far that black and red move around on his legs. Yeah, that is very good. What do we have here? We have the knees here being double jointed quite nicely. We have the ankles and we have the feet. This, I believe, is primarily been created on the Blue Beetle Booster Gold Body Buck. Not 100%, but primarily. And now it's time to move on to the Monitor. But first, a word from our sponsor. Mom! Mom, it's the Super Friends commercial again! Mom! Mom, can I have some of these? Mom, I want the Superman! He comes with a ring! Robin chops! And Penguin! Penguin's got a shooty thing on the end of his... Mom, can I have them? Mom! Yep, I'm sponsored by them. That's my sponsor. An action figure line from 1990. Anywho, the Anti-Monitor. Now this figure put together looks fantabulous. But I'm just going to start with a comparison right off the bat, because what do you notice about the older DC Direct version in comparison to the new one? That's right, there are more paint applications and his body is blue. Does it matter, you ask? Well, here is what the actual box art shows. And this is actually what the suit in the comic book looked like. It was blue. Now some people say, well, it might have been black with blue highlights, which I suppose it might have been, but I tend to think that his suit was actually a blue color with blue gloves. Likely I'll end up painting all of the missing paint applications myself, and I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to paint this one blue or not. I'm not entirely sure that he is blue, I just know that he looks better blue than he does black. Next I want to look at the cape right away. My wife loves this cape. She looked at this cape and went, ooh, I like the texture. This cape has all kinds of texture to it. And I'm like, yes, it does, because McFarlane likes to put texture on things, just like the suit is covered in texture all over the arms and the torso. The sash area has a goodly amount of texture as well, and patterning. Like, this really is a very good looking figure of the Anti-Monitor. There are details that have been added by Todd, that, or by his team rather, whoever is in charge of sculpting these, that was not part of the original. However, I just think that it does work out very well. And after he's had just a little bit of a paint wash, you know, got some details added to him with some blue, I think that he will look fantastic. And the face sculpt with his gigantic marshmallow forehead, it looks pretty good. I'm not entirely sure if it looks exactly like the Monitor from the Crisis on Infinite Earths, or if it perhaps falls short a little bit. I feel like it looks pretty good. I feel like it's about a 75%, and the paint applications are neat and tidy enough as well that it's certainly more than passable. I, like you, are probably just as curious as to how articulated he is, and the torso actually gets a good amount of articulation. Of course, the waist will get a good amount of articulation. Shoulder pauldrons are going to get in the way of the arms, but they still get, you know, what they're supposed to get. They don't go up any further, but the pauldrons don't really get in the way. That's just the limit of the articulation. You got the socket, you got the rounded hinge. Ooh, double jointed elbows. Crunching up right here so he can be like shuddering in revulsion, like, ugh, gross. We've got down here, we got the McFarlane groin doing its thing. Let's see if I can allow more light to get in there so you can get a good view of what he's got going on down there. What does he have for... Ooh, and it clicks. It's a clickety-clack, but there's actually quite a bit. You can hear it doing its thing. And the sash doesn't really get in the way that much on account of the fact that it opens up at the sides. We got double jointed crunchy knees. They're pretty good. We have the ankles, which are molded and on the rounded hinges, giving us a fair amount of articulation as well. And toe articulation. Anyway, that's all for me. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you with the next one. Have a DC day, everybody, and take care of yourselves. And try to take care of someone else today, too. Bye-bye.